Now, I went to the 1984 National Model Airplane Championships in Reno, Nevada in 1984. It's kind of a unique story, and I'll share it with you on this video. Now, on this video, I'm going to try to share the story from my point of view of the 1984 Nationals in Reno, Nevada, and it's quite an interesting story. It has a lot of twists and turns. There's a cast of characters, but I think as time has gone by, I've come to realize everybody's life has threads like this, and there's a thread in my life that took me to where I am now, and it pretty much started at the Reno Air Races in 1984, and here I am in the Spitfire bedroom, looking around at what's left of my modeling career, and so glad that I took the time, the energy, and the passion to become a modeler. Now, of course, my modeling career over many years had a lot of twists and turns. A lot of times I thought I could do something different. I tried to invent things, among other things. I tried to share a lot of it with the videos that I made as far back as 87. But this story takes place in 1984. I really have to set the stage. Setting the stage for this is going to take a few minutes. It may be a little drawn out, but I wanted you to understand just how this happened, and it happened to me. So looking back, you have to kind of set the stage on this. I had a very good friend, Ken Augustine, formerly known as Kenny Augustine. He was a world-class motorcycle mechanic, revered by everybody who raced motorcycles. I knew he needed a place to live at one point in his life. I offered him my extra apartment that I had, and what we did is we made an agreement. You work on my race motorcycles, and you don't have to pay rent. At the time he made the agreement and the handshake, he didn't realize I had 9 motorcycles, and I kept him busy all the time. So before we even made the plan to go to Reno, Kenny decided, and it was a year or two after him being my tenant, and we got to be really good friends. What had happened is he moved to San Francisco, opened up a speed shop, and was very successful. So when I knew the Nationals was going to be in Reno, Nevada in 1984, I made a plan with some of my friends that we would pay somebody to drive my truck cross country with all the models in it. We would fly out to San Francisco, borrow Kenny's used van, and we would go to Reno. And that would be the most convenient way because I would have to take 2 weeks less off of my job, and my boss wasn't crazy about me at Ford Motor Company taking any time off. So that worked out very well. We made the plan, and at that point in my life, we planned to go to the Nationals a year before. My whole life hinged on making the arrangements to get to the Nationals, and it was a labor-intensive thing making that trip happen. Now, Ted Fancher had told everybody that he had been to Reno and done some practicing. The air was very thin, the air density, and that they should build, if they come into Reno, build the lightest possible model. And what I did, I built 2. I built one that was so light, it pretty much was an unreliable plane. And I brought it anyway, but I never flew it in Reno, but I made the F-16. Now, the reason I made the F-16, Lou Dudka, good friend, and a really good flyer, at the time had another F-16 that he made that was really a lot just ahead of its time. It was a beautiful model. I was jealous, and so I decided one of my models for Reno would be a kind of an F-16. So the stage is now set. We fly out to Kenny's. We stayed at his house overnight. His house and his workshop were the same thing. He lived in the back of his workshop. It was a speed shop, world-renowned. When Kenny passed away, he had a great train collection too. He was acknowledged by Kevin Cameron as being one of the best tuners alive. So the story now is the wind is blowing. There's a lot of interesting things in Reno. This is where they hold the Reno Air Races. There were a lot of warbirds down at the other end of the field, and we were driving around looking for things to look at while it got too windy to fly. We got to meet some really interesting people down at the airport, and what happened is the security guard that was guarding us and telling us you can't go there and you can't go there, he was getting a little bit upset that we were there every day, and that kind of we were getting a little pushy about wanting to go and see some of the planes that were in the hangars. And didn't work out that well the first couple of days. But then what happened, Kenny showed up with his, at that time, girlfriend, and we went down to the hangar, and the guy that was the head of security at the time was riding a motorcycle that Kenny had worked on. So they got to do a little chit-chatting, and the guy said, look, I can't let you anywhere near the planes now, but you come back at midnight, I'll be the only one here, and you can take pictures and go sit in the planes and rub them and massage them and everything. And we did. So that begins the story. Now I want to tell the rest of the story. How the story actually begins. And we are at Reno. Man, it was hot. Wind is blowing, and they got all these cool planes everywhere. There was an experimental plane with the prop on the back, like a Learjet with the prop on the back, and they were testing it, and P-51s and everything all over the place. It was a really cool experience to be there, other than the modeling and the contest and the concourse awards and all of that stuff. But we go back. This security guard and Kenny knew each other pretty well, in fact, and we never knew. We went back around midnight. Every light in the place was shut off, and we were told just pull up to where the door is, and he would come out and escort us in, and we would go in. Now I was thinking, I'm going to go into this hangar. I don't know who owns it. I don't know who, you know, these people obviously have more money than I do, but then everybody does. But the funniest thing, he lets us in, he flips all these light switches, everything goes on, it's like a movie studio. And in my head I'm going, holy mackerel, I had never, ever, ever seen anything like this collection of planes. The number one plane that was in there was the black P-38. I'm not sure who owned it, who maintained it, or whatever, but it was in there. And it had that funny little step in the back that you could climb up and look in the cockpit. Off to the side, there's two Sabre jets. One with double cockpits, one with single cockpits. My head is spinning. There were other jets. There were some home-built planes. I can't even remember some of the stuff that was in there. But we started talking to the gentleman that was there. We started having a conversation with him. And the guard, and he was showing me pictures. Now, sadly enough, of course, this is before I started shooting video in '87, and I never really had a camera. In fact, I don't even have a lot of pictures of Reno. I just gave Andy Lee a box of pictures to post on Facebook or wherever he posts them, and the Reno pictures are in that box, some of them anyway. And they're not good quality pictures anyway of the Thunderbird. I think I only have one. But the whole point was, this opened my eyes up to Reno air racing. I saw these planes, and they were just mind-boggling how polished and beautiful. And this P-38, this black P-38, holy mackerel, it was buffed out like I buff out a model plane or a motorcycle. It was just unbelievable. We talked till almost dawn. I remember getting up the next morning and wanting to go flying after zero sleep and thinking, good thing I was young, I couldn't do that now. But what it did, and the thread that goes through my life from this point on, that was the original thread that became my passion for Reno air racers. I built the Tsunami. It was published in Model Aviation. I built the Strega, which became one of Brodak's best-selling kits. I built the Miss Ashley, the first one, if I'm remembering right. The first one had a carbon fiber wing and a balsa body. The second one had a balsa wing and a carbon fiber body, but neither one was all carbon fiber. And I only have a few pictures of them. But what happened from the Miss Ashley experience, before I went to, and again, you can't make this stuff up, before I actually started designing it, I had a few photos, of course. Joe Adamusco had sent me some photos. We had photos of other Reno air races, but I liked Miss Ashley. That was one of the ones I liked. And I said, there's got to be a way I can get a hold of Gary Levitz. There's got to be a way. And through digging around, there was no of the things you have now on the internet. You just find them. I managed through, and I don't remember who, if Joe Adamusco or somebody helped me figure out how to get the phone number of his business. Now, everybody knows he owned Levitz Furniture. At the time, Miss Ashley was his daughter. But I had
I finally made a phone call out there, and I talked to somebody, not Gary Levitz at the time, and the gentleman told me, "Oh, we're all modelers out here. Everybody's a former modeler. You're making a Miss Ashley model? Oh my God, let me send you some pictures and some blueprints and some this and that and this and that." So I thought, yeah, that's very nice. I'm really excited about that. Well, what happened in the course of building the model, we had exchanged in the time, imagine this, no email, we exchanged letters and with envelopes and pictures and stamps. At the time, they knew that I was building this Miss Ashley model. And toward the end of it, and I think it was after the first one was built and I started the second one, unfortunately, Gary Levitz did get killed in Miss Ashley. And the story that I had heard, because I was watching these Reno Air Race videos at the time called Sky Fire, and they're probably still all out on, on YouTube. But Sky Fire, if you like Reno Air Racing, those old ones are really good. So what had happened is the person I had spoken to out there many times was a modeler. And I received a package in the mail, and in there was a t-shirt, and it had Miss Ashley, all their room stores and their sponsors on the front, and on the back of the shirt it had crew, and of course the Miss Ashley, the picture. And what happened was, a side view of Miss Ashley, what happened when he died, there were 6 of these shirts, and the one I got had some grease on it, and the guy explained to me, he says, we counted you as part of the crew, and we wanted you to have this shirt and treasure it and everything. And I wore it for the whole year that I was flying Miss Ashley, and finally it got kind of worn out, but I treasure it, and it is something that there's only 6 of them in the world, and I got one of them. So I thought that experience of being out in Reno and making that turn into a 6-8 planes that I made, starting with Tsunami, and all of those videos are still somewhere in the world. And sometimes I ask Paul Taylor, who thank God he's posted a lot, Walt Brownell, where are those videos now? And some of them are out on YouTube, some are there, and there's some I still have on believe it or not, VHS tape up under the training layout. If anybody would volunteer to convert them into discs and put them on YouTube, I'll donate them to whoever. You just got to pick them up. The boxes have 50 DVDs in them each, and they weigh a ton. And Kevin King, I think, has published them too. So thank you guys for sharing information. Now, to me, that was one of the things that the thread started with Kenny Augustine. It went through Reno, and it went through the rest of my life. And this is that Miss Ashley shirt. It's Gary Levitz's official logo. Room Store was, of course, their business, their sponsor. And this is the second one of the Miss Ashleys. This is the one that had, I believe, it had the, I'm not sure which was first, which was second, to be honest, a long time ago. But I know I have 2 of them, and I have pictures of both of them. And I never even thought to mention this in the thing of my life, chasing around Reno Air Racers. What was really important too, I developed a love for warbirds, a love for P-51s, and boy, if I had a camera that night, or a video camera, oh man. Then this is a picture from our Brazil trip, and I'm sure somewhere out in the world, those 4 original discs of the Brazil trip, this is Benet Rodriguez's plane. I wanted to put some of that on the video, and Howard Rush, Dave Fitzgerald, and I went as the guest of Thomas Case, and Benet was beyond good. He gave us tours of the country. We went hang gliding together. It just couldn't have been a better trip. But my love of semi-scale planes, and mostly Reno Air Racers, lives on till today. Now this is one of the things I really treasure, and the late Joe Ortiz was at my house one day shooting pictures with Peggy and running around taking pictures and looking at all the models. And I had, of course, there's the Red Baron down at the bottom. That's the reason I'm including this. I forgot to mention the Red Baron, one of my other passions. But here, this is just funny things, that the day he took this picture, I had no idea. I had dirty pants on, a dirty shirt, didn't comb my hair. I was already starting to get gray. And they used this picture as the cover of a model aviation. So the thing is, whenever somebody's taking pictures, put a clean pair of pants on.
This is one of those pictures I think is priceless because I don't have a lot of them. And of the Red Baron, and this is out at the Pasco Nats, but the passion and the love for Reno air racers, boy, it lives on. And this is, I don't have that many pictures of Miss Ashley, but I do have some. This is, I believe this was the first one. And yeah, it has to be because it's got the built-up wing and a carbon fiber body. One of the things I'm sorry I didn't save was some of the correspondence from back then, because everything was in writing then. It was a different world than you have now. And when I got to see that black P-38 in the hangar at midnight with all the lights shining off it, it was like going to a custom car, custom bike show. That moment in time is still in my mind just like it was yesterday. And every one of these models, every one, I know, added fuel to the fire. When I built one, I was already dreaming about the next one. It was just a very, very special time and a very special part of my life. Maybe yours too. So I always think there's things that are frozen in time, and this just happens to be one of them. This is the tsunami on top, I'm trying to see, the Red Baron, two Cardinals, Tradition, which Midgley still has, the VMAX, and on the bottom the Sidewinder. And there was a day in my life when I had every one of them, and you can see where they are, right in the cellar of this house. I had them all. There was an afternoon, I had every one of them in one place and one time, and this picture makes them frozen in time. When I originally built the original I-beam sweeper with Harold Price's help, spraying it and masking it off and learning about how to paint, I could never have seen years into the future where this thread of model aviation would take me. But because of it, or maybe in spite of it, I have had a really, really good life. And I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you do, please press the like button. And guys, thanks so much for watching.